You know, today what we're going to talk about is really a make or buy analysis. And you know, as I've mentioned on several times I've been here, is what are the LSCs that you can provide for your customers? One of the things you can do with them is basically look at some of the items that they're doing, and if they're making it, what can you provide them that maybe might save them some time, especially on labor cost and ordering and scrap and those types of things. Thank you. So I've got a couple handouts here, but before I get into that, I wanted to publicly thank Dan, Corey, Mac, and Kelly for coming to our ACF reception. We had our accreditation at the school, and they were kind enough to come and eat some food and drink some wine. And it went very well. So
thanks for drinking.
Nice of them.
You know, a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, right?
Dan drank like 6 glasses of wine that night.
So I want to thank them for coming, and the accreditation visit went well. We had a good report, and they were impressed with the amount of community overall that we have involved in our program. So thank you very much. Anyhow, back to this. This is a great book. It's called The Book of Yields, and I can get you the information for this, and I can give it maybe I'll email it to Todd. He can disseminate it. But it's an outstanding book. It'll give you yields. It tells you how to calculate yields. It'll give you yields of various products: produce, meat, seafood, dry versus fresh herbs, all those types of things. So it'd be a great tool for you to carry around in your briefcase when you're visiting clients and say, hey, you know, it's even got forms in the back. You know, hey, here's a make or buy analysis. Another thing that I created, now this is a spreadsheet that I created, I'm going to pass out to you guys.
Is that by Francis Lynch?
Pardon?
Is that by Francis Lynch?
Yep, Francis Lynch. That's Wiley. Wiley's the publisher. Yep.
Amazon, $34.
$34. There you go. See, there you go.
Kindle edition.
There you go. You can even get it on your computer. So,
Even better.
and they even have a CD-ROM, you know, that you can do. So you can even copy some of this stuff off and give it to your clients in forms. So it's a great book. And the other thing I've got here is just out of the book, I've got a page that has just the meat information. Obviously, meat, you know, proteins are one of the biggest costs that your customers have. So if you look at that sheet across the top, now I've got the formulas already. I did the formulas for you and everything on this, so I'll email this to Todd as well. He can get it out to you so you can put it right on your computer. But if you look, I called Wednesday. I called into Stanz and said, okay, how much is a Pismo? A pound. Okay, it's $12.30 a pound. Is what they quoted me on Wednesday. I probably don't have the best deal, whatever. Just kidding. But the yield, according to the Book of Yields, if you look at there, it's got the Pismo, beef tenderloin Pismo, beef added, which is the 189A, is 87.1%. Okay, now that's if you've got a relatively skilled person cutting it. Okay. And then, so that gives you an edible portion price of 14.12. So then your hourly rate, let's say you've got somebody cutting the fillets, it's $12.50 an hour. Okay, I just pull that out. You know, it might be a little more, it might be a little less, depends on where you're at. Let's say it takes them half an hour to clean and cut that and make the portions out of it. It might be a little long, it might be a little short, depending on, again, the ability of your person. Okay, the average pound, these were 5 and ups, so the average pound, I put 6 pounds in there, is the units. So your labor per pound is $1.04. Okay? So that's the labor per pound. And that doesn't even take into account any benefits. Social Security taxes, usually you're anywhere from 15 to 23%, depending on what kind of benefits you offer on your labor. So that brings the item cost to $15.16 a pound. So my next question to the customer service rep on the phone was, okay, if I were to buy a filet, what is it per pound? Okay, so down there, the buy cost is $14.50 per pound. Okay, that was for 8 ounce filet, which pre-cut, head cut filet, choice. So my savings by buying it already cut is 66 cents per pound.
Where'd that 14.50 come
From your customer service.
That's the pre-cut.
from? That's the
Pre-cut. It's a pre-cut. That was a frozen, it wasn't a fresh, that was
Which
a
means it's
frozen.
cleaned and all that.
It's a 8 ounce filet ready to go, first cut, right. Frozen, first cut. Huh? Well, that's all cheap quoted, so,
The center cuts
Did you see the chart?
okay.
Yeah, but how many center cuts are in a fillet?
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, if that's not apples to apples, that's fine, then compare to apples, and where are you at? You're
Even worse.
In the introduction.
worse, exactly.
It's in the introduction.
But she said it was a choice filet, what I asked for. That's what they gave me. I thought it sounded a little low too, but. Okay. But you can do this with anything. Take your lettuce mix, for example, okay? It's got a yield in here for iceberg lettuce, romaine. If you're doing a lettuce mix that's 40% romaine mix or 20% romaine with carrots and cabbage, and they're making their own, and how much labor? You know, just tell them, guesstimate how much labor are you spending on that, and then plug it in here. You can plug in multiple items on here and get a whole recipe cost. The other thing, a soup, you know, for example, say they're doing a tomato basil bisque. I think you guys have a tomato basil bisque. You know, they're making it. Okay, what's the cost to make it? Plug it in there. And then what's the buy cost? And then you can show them, you know, whether it's beneficial to make it or buy it. And of course, what other factors would go into whether you make this decision for your customer? What do you think? Waste, quality, labor, taste of the product. You know, is it comparable? Consistency. You know, where do you think you're going to get the most consistency, whether it's bought or made? Bought.
Fact is, most of our customers are not culinary trained.
Right.
They're people who started a restaurant, right? Because they got out of Marines.
Right. Right. You know, so what you can do, and Corey can, when he's out with you, is present this to your customers. You can just take you can take the spreadsheet and copy it on their computer, let them do the calculations. You know, it's already got the formulas in there. All they have to do is plug in the prices, and it'll total it down. If they've got 16 ingredients, if you know anything about Excel, you can easily add some columns in there and total it up without any problem. And it's just a tool for your customers. Okay, make a decision. What are the benefits? What benefits are making it versus buying it? And how can I help my customers make a little more money? I mean, I hear you guys talk about putting a little extra money in your pockets from, you know, benefits that you might get. Well, you know, customers, restaurant owners want a little extra money in their pockets too. So if you can show them how you can help them make money, what's that going to do? It's going to make them more loyal to you, right? As customers, more likely to buy from you, more likely to buy more from you. If you help them do those things.
She's a rookie at sales meetings.
That's all right. You know what I do with my students when they do it in class? I throw a knife. No, I throw a tomato at them. Okay, so what questions do you have? I mean, this is real simple, and I'm having difficulty talking here, so my students are not totally unhappy about that this week.
Can you just mention the part about the yielding and people costing out their menus? Because I think if people use like onions and they chop some of their own onions, they'll just take the price of the 50-pound bag, and you really shouldn't do that.
Right, right. Well, I'm gonna pass this around, you can look at it real quick. Yeah, yielding, again, all the standard basic yields are listed in there for just about anything that you're gonna be selling or anything you're gonna be using. And it even has formulas in there on how to calculate the yields. So, obviously, you know, if you're getting, if you're paying, just for example, paying $25 for 100 pounds or 50 pounds of onions or 25-pound bag of onions, then by the time you peel it, cut it, you may be getting, you know, 85, 90% out of that. So if they buy 4 bags at 20 bags, $100, let's make it easy, 90%. Yield out of that increases your cost by 10%, so it's really $110 for those onions. And then when they do recipes, you know, they'll do these recipes, like, this is my food cost, and then don't put in that recipe amount of time to prep it, any equipment needs that might be taken, that you might need special for that. Like, we talked about lettuce mix, well, you need a spinner, usually, if you're gonna wash your lettuce to dry it, so that's an additional cost. So all those things go into it, and any special equipment that you might need, grinding your own hamburger, you know. Not very many places do that, but there are. Anybody that does, fabricates their own meat, probably grinding their own hamburger because there's a scrap laying around. You know, and you can do this same exercise with, you know, with cutting ribeyes or cutting strip steaks. There's always that scrap. You know, how many places you go in and you walk into somebody's freezer, they got stuff in there that, you know, has been in there for 3, 6 months. Oh, you know, we're gonna use it for this or use it for that. It just sits there, it never gets used. It's money on the shelf, it's costing them money.
Are these yields based on how you trim an onion, or how, do you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
how other people trim an onion?
They are based, I think they're, and I don't know about in the book what they're based on, but I think they're based on professional yield.
Jeff, what's the yield on a case of salad mix compared to a case of pear lettuce? Lettuce being 45, 50 case now. I'm trying to talk to customers going in. Without me looking in the book, you know enough?
Oh, geez.
Don't you,
No,
Tim?
I think it's probably somewhere around 90% for iceberg.
It depends,
You're
'cause
right
right
now.
now, it's not 90%.
You
Right.
buy lettuce mix for $20 a case,
Right.
let's say, in a case of lettuce.
Well, it's saying that the lettuce mix is 99.7% usage, and romaine is only, just fresh romaine is only 75%.
Right.
99%?
So you'd have to, you know, if you're doing a lettuce mix, it's a romaine blend, then you have to kind of put the two together and come out with what your yield is. It say iceberg lettuce, the head is 97%?
No, iceberg lettuce, iceberg is only 73.1%.
There you go. By the time you peel off on the outside, take the core out, which is the heaviest part, obviously.
That's just yield, that doesn't include labor.
Right, right.
And going back to the steaks, with my customer base, I don't deal with chefs really. There's a few places that know how to cut steaks, but I actually try to screw in the box beef that go with the frozen steaks. Instead of my customer buying the $500-600 case of beef, and you can load them, you know, you can spend $100 to get a case of strips. And so if you don't know what you're doing with the shrink and everything, you can spoil it. Your food costs can go way up.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a good point. You know, you gotta assess what your talent is of who you're selling. We gotta, obviously you guys know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, that you gotta deal with each customer differently because they all have different things that are priorities to them, and they all have different talent in their kitchen. So, you know, what you deal with at LaSalle Grill is gonna be a lot different than what you deal with at Pancake House, you know. You know, you have to understand what your customers' needs are, obviously, and what their wants are, and the quirks of each individual chef, because, you know, we all have them. And try and sell to those things. But this is a tool, again, that you can provide them that they can actually do this analysis themselves, or you can help them with that if have something that, you know, that, you got, you know, a special, I know you guys always have things going out, special, things like that, that maybe it's a customer that uses something that they're making, and you got a special on something that they can substitute, do the analysis based on the special, and do it, okay, this is our regular price, and then, you know, they may switch over and stay with that product, because they're finding they're getting a consistent product, they're getting good customer reviews, and they're getting, you know, a reduction in the labor costs. I'm trying to put everybody on jobs, but, you know, it's, you know, if you can make it or buy it, you know, you just have to weigh all those things depending on the level of restaurant that you have and the level of skill you have in the kitchen and those types of things. Other questions?
Chef, not to make this a produce thing, but two other things that weigh into whether you're gonna sell them pre-cut or not. One is workman comp costs. You're talking about your level of competency in the kitchen. If you're getting a lot of cuts and a lot of workman comp costs, that's gonna drive your cost at your restaurant up a lot. Okay? That's one that people don't think about. Another one is food safety. We just recently had a big recall. We sickened about 100 people at a restaurant where the guy in the back making the salads was sick and sneezed in the salad. They traced it back. I can't tell you where it was. I just read it last week. Food safety on it. Do you want to be responsible for the food safety, or do you want Freshway to be responsible for the food safety in these places? And that should weigh into that decision also.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the workers' comp, again, benefits are usually anywhere from 15 to 23% of your labor. So for every dollar you spend on labor, you're adding 15 to 23 cents on, because by the time you pay your social security, you know, is what, 6.5% that the employer has to pay. Then your Medicare, your unemployment, and then if you offer health insurance, we have a partial payment on that. You know, all those things go into it, so you're up 23, 25%. Vacation, all that stuff. If you offer all those benefits, then if you just offer the basics, you're probably closer down to 15%, you know, for a part-time employee. But do you want a part-time employee cut 10 rolls for you? Your yield is going to go way down from 87%.
Chef, one of the things that you said to me when we met initially was how many times reps come in and try to sell you something, whether it be our pre-made tomato basil bisque. And your comment was, if I say I make it from scratch, most of them go, oh, okay.
Right.
They don't think about all the ingredients that go into that. That just, you gave them an opportunity to sell 10 products instead of one.
Right.
So, you know, you used this example of chicken base.
Right, yeah, and again, that is, you know, if they say they make it from scratch, you understand what the ingredients are, say, hey, well, okay, do you have the recipe? Let me show you all the ingredients that we have that I can provide you for that item. And then here, if you really want to evaluate it, here's, you know, the tool to evaluate whether it's, you know, and cut, do a cutting test. You know, get Corey to go out with you and do a cutting test with it and see, you know, taste it. And sometimes, you know, I'll buy things that are made and I add something to it to make it closer to what I want it to be. So therefore, I create a unique item. You know, you can buy a soup that's made and add some fresh tomato bits, and add some fresh tomato, a little fresh basil, and kick it up a notch. Or you can, you know, eggs. You know, cracking your own eggs. If you have a big Sunday brunch, I remember, you know, when I was running Jeremiah Sweeney's here in town. You know, Saturday night, we'd spend hours cracking eggs, you know, for Sunday brunch. For Mother's Day, you know, we'd serve 800 people for brunch. And, you know, we cracked a lot of eggs. We had an omelet station, and we had different eggs. Well, you know, you take the frozen product, either the boil bag or the cartons, and you add something to those, you know, add a little sour cream to them. You know, it's a nice product. Still a good product. So those types of things, you know, how long am I going to crack eggs, you know, to make those fresh eggs? Well, any other questions about, you know, make and buy analysis or ways to sell your customers on